opening music. Host. Welcome back, sports fans, to another jam-packed episode of Four-Year Starters Daily Lineup. I'm your host, bringing you the latest and greatest from the world of sports. It's Saturday, July 22nd, and we've got a lineup of articles that will knock your socks off. But before we dive into today's stories, let me hit you with a fun fact about this date in sports history. Fun fact. On this day in 1933, legendary baseball player and home run king Babe Ruth hit his 700th career home run. Talk about power and longevity. The Sultan of Swat truly left an indelible mark on the sport. Host. Now that we've got our daily dose of sports history, let's jump right into the first article. In our top spot today, we have some scorching hot MLB trade rumors. Will the Baltimore Orioles be the lucky landing spot for the highly sought-after Japanese phenom, Shohei Ohtani? Or will the Chicago Cubs wave goodbye to their dreams of a repeat World Series championship as they inch closer to selling? It's a nail-biting race against time, and the trade deadline is looming. Who will make the right moves to bolster their chances of success? We'll break it down for you, pitch by pitch. Host. But that's not all, folks. Our lineup today is rounded out by an exhilarating match in the Women's World Cup. The USWNT is facing off against Vietnam, and it's crucial for them to start strong. As we all know, the early stages of any tournament can set the tone for the entire competition. Will the USWNT bring the heat from the opening whistle, or will Vietnam throw them a curveball? We'll analyze the strategies, the players to watch, and everything you need to know about this high-stakes encounter. Host. So, grab your favorite beverage, settle into your favorite armchair, and get ready for a home run of an episode. It's time to step up to the plate and dive into today's stories. Let's play ball. Closing music. Welcome back, sports fans. Grab your favorite rally cap and get ready for some thrilling headlines in the world of sports. We've got a lineup of stories that will have you on the edge of your seat, so let's dive right in and get this show on the road. In our first story, we witness a true golfing masterpiece. Brian Harman steps up to the tee and unleashes a flawless second round at the British Open. With precision and finesse, he dominates the field, leaving his competitors in the dust. Holding a commanding 5-shot lead, Harman proves that he's the king of the links. Talk about a hole-in-one performance. Now, moving on to the world of soccer, we have a headline that's causing quite a stir. The highly anticipated debut of Lionel Messi for Inter Miami has ignited controversy. But it's not about his skills on the field, my friends. No, it's all about the playing surface. Messi, with his legendary talent, will only grace traditional grass fields. This decision has some MLS stadiums potentially missing out on the opportunity to host the soccer superstar. It's a contentious issue that has fans divided like a penalty shootout. And lastly, let's shift our attention to the USWNT, the powerhouse of women's soccer. We've got an exciting match on the horizon, folks. The article breaks down the upcoming game, highlighting key players who will be pivotal in securing the victory. It emphasizes the importance of sticking to the game plan and executing their strategies flawlessly. But that's not all. We've got a bonus tidbit of sports news for you. Dan Snyder, the owner of the Washington football team, has recently sold the Commanders team. It's a game-changer in the world of football, my friends. Well, there you have it, a whirlwind tour of some exhilarating sports headlines. From Brian Harman's dominant performance at the British Open to the Messi controversy in the MLS, and the USWNT's upcoming match along with Dan Snyder's team sale, the world of sports never fails to keep us on our toes. Stay tuned and keep that sports spirit alive. The MLB trade rumor mill is abuzz with discussions about potential trades involving the Baltimore Orioles and the highly sought-after Japanese two-way player Shohei Ohtani. With a young roster in need of a top-of-the-rotation starter, the Orioles make for an attractive option. The left-handed hitting style of Ohtani would also be well-suited for the hitter-friendly Camden Yards. However, doubts remain as to whether the Angels' owner would approve a trade for Ohtani. Meanwhile, the trade market for starting pitchers this season is weak, which could work in favor of the Chicago Cubs. With limited options available, the price for rental players like Lucas Giolito or Blake Snell would be high. The Cubs have the opportunity to explore trading for pitchers like Marcus Stroman or Eduardo Rodriguez, both of whom come with risks due to player options in their contracts. On the other hand, Kyle Hendricks is available without any contractual baggage. The Cubs have garnered interest from several teams this week, indicating potential trade opportunities if the team decides to become sellers. The Tampa Bay Rays, Arizona Diamondbacks, Texas Rangers, San Diego Padres, and Philadelphia Phillies have all been scouting the Cubs closely. The Cubs' successful trade history with these teams could potentially make the negotiation process easier. While acquiring top 100 prospects individually may be challenging for the Cubs, they could explore bundling players together to improve their return. Another possibility for the Cubs is trading for near-term big league contributors. As the trade deadline approaches, the Chicago Cubs are on the brink of becoming sellers. While the team's front office has not specified an exact criteria for when they will become sellers, the upcoming series against the St. Louis Cardinals will play a significant role. If the Cubs fail to perform well in the series, it is highly unlikely that they will reach a winning record or come close to the top of the NL Central by the deadline. In that case, it would be in the team's best interest to start planning for selling players. The likelihood of the Cubs becoming sellers is currently estimated at around 90%. However, there remains a slim chance for the Cubs to avoid selling if they can manage to win every remaining game before the deadline. The outcome of the upcoming series will ultimately determine whether the Cubs will be buyers or sellers in the trade market. The Chicago Cubs had a tough game against the St. Louis Cardinals, with pitcher Marcus Stroman struggling on the mound. While the defense was not the sole issue, there were several plays that should have been made behind Stroman that could have helped his performance. Third baseman Patrick Wisdom's defensive struggles were particularly noticeable, making the absence of Nick Madrigal's glove even more painful. Stroman acknowledged his own lack of command and credited the Cardinals for fouling off many pitches, which made his outing more challenging. Stroman's style of play heavily relies on a strong defense, making games like this one a risk inherent to his skill set. On a positive note, Javier Assad had another solid performance in long relief, consistently putting up zeros. His peripherals have been improving, and it wouldn't be surprising if he gets a few starts in the second half of the season if the Cubs decide to trade away some of their rotation players. The Chicago Cubs suffered another loss to their chief rival, the St. Louis Cardinals, with a final score of 7-2. This defeat further solidifies the Cubs' position as potential sellers at the upcoming trade deadline, marking the third consecutive year in which they may be looking to make significant roster changes. The game itself was a missed opportunity for the Cubs as they fell behind 5-0 in the fourth inning and were unable to mount a comeback. Mistakes in the field, including errors from Patrick Wisdom, contributed to the Cardinals' advantage and prevented the Cubs from capitalizing on a pitching matchup that favored them. Furthermore, the team has been plagued by offensive struggles from key players during this crucial stretch of the season. Overall, this loss serves as another disappointment for Cubs fans who had hoped for a playoff push but now must confront the possibility of significant changes to the roster. The United States women's national team, USWNT, is well aware of the importance of performing well in the group stage of the Women's World Cup. While there is a temptation to look ahead and speculate on winning a third straight title, history shows that success in the early stages of the tournament can have a significant impact on the team's overall campaign. The players understand the importance of taking it one game at a time and making a statement by winning their group. The USWNT has an impressive record, having qualified for all 9 editions of the tournament, a feat achieved by only 6 other countries. On the other hand, Vietnam will be making their Women's World Cup debut after a strong performance in the 2022 AFC Women's Asian Cup, where they reached the quarterfinals. In terms of statistics, the USWNT has not lost a group stage match in the World Cup since 2011, a span of 4,399 days. They last won the tournament in 2019, defeating the Netherlands 2-0. However, due to the time difference, it will be 1,476 days since their victory in Auckland, New Zealand, while in the United States, it will be 1,475 days. Vietnam currently holds the 32nd position in the FIFA World Rankings, while the USWNT sits at the top. One player to watch from Vietnam is Nguyen Thi Thanh Nan, who at just 21 years old has already made 27 appearances for her country and scored 7 goals. Vietnam demonstrated their goal-scoring ability in their World Cup qualifying campaign, netting 16 goals against the Maldives in their opening match. As for the USWNT, they have a strong record against Asian Football Confederation, AFC teams in the World Cup, with 11 wins, 4 draws, and no losses in 15 matches. The USWNT made headlines in the 2019 Women's World Cup when they scored 13 goals against Thailand in their opening game, which remains the highest number of goals scored by any team in a World Cup match. Vietnam will be one of 8 countries making their debut in the Women's World Cup this year. They have 6 players in their squad with over 50 international appearances, highlighting their experience and leadership. While Vietnam may be considered the underdogs in this matchup, they have shown potential and will be eager to make an impact in their first-ever Women's World Cup. The USWNT, as the top-ranked team, will be looking to start their campaign on a strong note and continue their impressive World Cup record. Overall, the match between the USWNT and Vietnam promises to be an exciting encounter, with the USWNT aiming for victory and Vietnam hoping to cause an upset. Fans can tune in to Fox and the Fox Sports app to catch the action on Friday. In conclusion, the USWNT understands the significance of a strong start in the group stage of the Women's World Cup, while Vietnam, making their debut, aims to make an impact and minimize goals against the defending champions. The match promises excitement as both teams strive for victory in this highly anticipated encounter. Background music fades in. Host. And that's a wrap for another electrifying episode of 4-Year Starter. We've sprinted through the game, tackled tough topics, and scored some serious insights along the way. I'm your host, and boy, what a game it's been. Excited tone. Host. But before we hang up our cleats for the day, I want to give a big shout-out to our incredible guests who brought their A-game. They dove deep into their experiences, leaving it all on the field and showing us what it truly means to be a 4-year starter. Reflective tone. Host. From the rookies who just stepped onto the field to the seasoned veterans who've seen it all, thank you for sharing your stories, wisdom, and passion for the game. You are the MVPs of this podcast, and we couldn't do it without you. Enthusiastic tone. Host. Now, folks, it's time to huddle up and talk social media. Connect with us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at 4-Year Starter Podcast to stay in the loop. We'll be sharing exclusive behind-the-scenes footage, game highlights, and even some locker room banter. Trust me, folks, you won't want to miss it. Builds anticipation. Host, so make sure to hit that follow button, join our team, and be part of the 4-Year Starter community. Remember, we're all about teamwork and supporting each other both on and off the field. Together, we can take our love for sports to new heights. Inspiring tone. Host. And don't forget to catch us back here tomorrow for another heart-pounding episode. We'll be back with more interviews, analysis, and the kind of sports talk that'll make your heart race faster than a last-minute touchdown. Excited tone. Host. So until then, folks, keep your eyes on the prize, keep chasing those dreams, and always remember that in the game of life, you are the ultimate 4-year starter. Background music fades out. Thank you.